I am delighted to have a very special guest tonight, Mr. James Wanless, PhD. He's a man of many talents, and he goes by many names, among them Brother James, Greening Man, Captain Voyager, Captain Pick-a-Card, kind of like Captain Picard for you Star Trek fans. Also James Wanless, as in oneless. He's the author of many books on tarot and intuition, including Strategic Intuition of the 21st Century and Intuition at Work. He's also created numerous groundbreaking oracle decks, including the Sustain Yourself deck. But of course, he's best known as the creator of the groundbreaking Voyager Tarot deck and its corresponding guidebook, Way of the Great Oracle. He coaches and trains others with the Voyager deck, including the Voyager Coach Certification course. He is a true Voyager, traveling the world over, living his truth authentically, and training fellow seekers both in the corporate world and the New Age community, where he's become a bit of a legend. I'm happy just to call him my mentor and my friend. So please help me give a warm welcome by shaking your hands to the Tarot Awakenings online community, Mr. James Wanless. Hey there, James.
Hey, Frank.
What did you?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you very well. What did you think of that introduction? Not too bad, huh?
You know, you guys are really lucky to have Frank leading this group. He is really, Frank, you're really articulate. And you say true stuff and good stuff. You're a great educator and a teacher. I snuck in this meetup a little bit before you introduced me. I was listening to you, man.
That is very kind of you. Well, I learned from the best. You look well. You are shining, my friend.
Oh yeah, I'm renewable. I'm like a piñata doll. You know, they take stitches out, they put stitches in. I got a procedure this week or whatever that week, but it's all about renewability, and I love it. I love living, man.
You do. I'm just thrilled to have you on my program here. This is my little corner of the tarot world here, my little meetup group. And I have been singing your praises even before you logged on. I mentioned to everybody, let it go on record. I was sharing all your books. You know, of course, I've got your deck. This is the very first book I got of yours. But then, you know, we got the older James Wanless stuff, the out of the out of print stuff, but then we've got your intuition in the 21st century, and I mean, you've written a lot of books. What's the key to writing so many books, being so creative?
Well, I think Bob Dylan said it, the singer, Bob. He said, if you're not busy creating, you're busy dying. Yeah. And I, for me, it's just so true. I mean, I must have born to create. I have a lot of Gemini in my chart, Frank. Mm-hmm. And even though I'm a Taurus, apparently, which is kind of like, duh, hell, I feel much more Sagittarius and Libra and Aries. I love the air stuff. And, you know, so I'd love to write. I mean, I really love to write. I love to do art. I love to teach. I love to do what I do. And that's the key to life for all of us. And by the way, Frank, I noticed your group here. And I'm looking at all these men. Oh my God, this is so strange. You know, I mean, you just don't find that many men doing the tarot. It seems to be a ladies' or women's intuition kind of tool, you know. But you're certainly capable of it. And so are these guys. And you know, most of my Zoom stuff now is in Asia, particularly Japan. It's all women. I just wonder, is there a Japanese man anywhere? You know, so it's, I'm kind of intimidated by Des and John, you know, like these guys. Oh my God, you know, I have to watch out. You know, they might, I don't know what the hell they're thinking.
Well, these are really good guys, and I appreciate that they come to my meetup quite regularly. Really good guys. But I remember you're telling me years ago when I was just getting into this tarot thing professionally, I said, well, isn't there a niche out there for tarot for men? Maybe I should position myself as a tarot for men. You said, yeah, you'll never make a dime. I've been in this business for a long time, and it's 95% women, maybe 5% men if you're lucky. So,
Yeah.
and you're finding that in Japan too, that there's just no men that
Oh,
show up.
none. But I think that's a hit book. Tarot for men. Tarot for I know, Tarot for the Florida man. Now
Oh.
that would be cool. The Florida man. Because the Florida man is legendary.
Well, we all
You
know,
know?
we know you're the green man. This would be like the swamp man.
Oh, okay, fine. I love swamps. I'm an eco artist, and my sustain cards are all green wisdom. It's all nature, and I go. Wherever I go, whether there's a swamp or a river or an ocean, trees or whatever. That's where I belong, I think. So yeah, take me to the swamp. I'll be really happy there.
Well, most people here probably don't realize, James, that your birthday is Earth Day. That can't be a coincidence.
No, of course not. I mean, I was born before it was even Earth Day. I think they named it after me. Not, but that's my story. And it's good to have a story, a mythic story, because we all live a story, right? I guarantee in our little brains or our big brains, there's a story about who we are and how we're supposed to live. And the great thing about the tarot is it gives us a mythic story, the hero's journey of how to live the whole life of happy, healthy, holy, and wealthy. Happy, healthy, holy, and wealthy. Enough wealthy. And it gets the roadmap for it. And what your guys are doing today is one of the coolest readings ever. I think, of course, I made it up, so I'm a little biased, but because it's so proactive, it's a coaching tool. It gives you the roadmap of how to manifest, create, achieve, get results for whatever in your life. But it's mythic. I love myth, M-Y-T-H, make yourself the hero, M-Y-T-H. And when you look at the archetypes, the major cards, they're all heroic. It's not like, well, I just know how to do stuff. I'm the magician. It's not that I'm just a little crazy. I'm the fool, So it gives us that kind of mythic identity. And that's cool. I mean, we just don't get it otherwise. Like, I'm just a guy. Bull, you're a guy with magic. You're an emperor. You're a hierophant. You're a charioteer. Whoa. And that's what we need in our lives. Otherwise, we kind of get canceled and put down. So the tarot is an extraordinary tool for self-esteem, for rebuilding, a sense of who we really, really, really are. And I think we've forgotten a lot of that. And we're always watching TV and Netflix and whatever. And it's always about somebody else. But the tarot is so beautiful because it's a mirror. It's showing us who, in fact, we are, living our drama, our story, our myth. And if we act it out and be it, oh my God. I mean, I've been doing, Frank, I've been doing should I be saying any of this or should I shut up?
No, keep going. You're ripping, and it's great stuff. Please.
I've become used to Zoom, and I hated Zoom in the beginning. Like I'm looking at Des right now. Like Des, I don't know. Des has got his earphones on, and he looks like a good guy. But God, I don't know. He's just in a little box, And here's this Connie Hill. Now I know a Connie Hill in Portland, Oregon. I could not freaking believe it. There's a Connie Hill here, stuff like that. But you're all in a little box, and I'm real physical. I'm very expressive. I move. I'm kinesthetic. And so I'm learning how to be a little bit more edutaining, and I think the key to life, and that's why we love the tarot, because it's a game. It's the master game, but we love the idea of picking a card, face down, we don't know what we're going to get. This is cool, So it has that game-like quality, and we love surprise, and we're astounded by the synchronicity of it all. And of course, I've forgotten what the hell I was talking about. So we're
Hey, that's okay. Like I wasn't about to cut you off because that is really good stuff. One of the things I like to tell people when I'm teaching tarot is just this idea that we're all living a mythic story, whether we're aware of it or not. So why not become more aware of it? You are the center of this epic tale that is your life. Wake up to it, and tarot can do that for you.
Tarot awakenings, right?
That, exactly, yeah.
I mean, Frank is one of those few Florida men who's woke. He's woke. And one of the best students I ever had is Frank. If you can pronounce his last name, you can apparently be his friend too, you know.
That's why I don't have any friends, James, because no one can say my name, but that's okay.
Frank K. Frankie K. Frankie K. I like that. But I have such a hard time with the tarot world. I know you guys are probably all coming from traditional tarot, which I did too. I mean, I learned the tarot, in 77, 78, maybe in San Francisco with a classic traditional tarot deck. And I loved it. And I just started doing readings full time and basically starved. You know, I lived in my office for a year, no bathroom, no kitchen, but I didn't care because I loved it. But after a couple of years of doing the cards professionally, I said, you know, I don't know. These decks, these cards, these symbols are old. And there's one thing about me, I like to be relevant. I like to be contemporary. I like to be up to date and even futuristic. So I was looking at this stuff and I said, God, I'm so tired of blood and swords, sword and bloods. Give me a freaking break. I don't want this crap anymore. And then I'm off kings and queens, off with their heads. They're not kind of my friends, really, unless you like royalties and all that kind of crap. So I said, I want to make my own deck. And this is in 1980. And I knew I could do it because I know how to write. I know how to I did a dissertation, PhD. And you got to know how to position stuff to get by these professors, you know. So I knew I could do it, but I didn't have the artist. And then one day we were all drugged up. What were we drugged up on? Caffeine. Caffeine is the ultimate drug. Have you ever seen different spiders on caffeine? Oh my God.
Spiders on caffeine? That's crazy.
Well, no, they did spiders on all the drugs. They did spiders on LSD, spiders on cannabis, spiders on cocaine, spiders on whatever, and caffeine. And by far, this is hilarious, and I love this story, and it's true. By far, the webs done by spiders on caffeine were by far the worst. They were holy, they were messed up, they were whacked. They talk about it. So here I am, 1981, over caffeine with an artist friend of mine who does plein air, big oil painting stuff, California art. And I said, Ken, under the influence of caffeine, let's make The Magician. And he said, who the hell is that? I said, Ken, come on, man. It's The Magician. It's the #1 card in the tarot. And he said, oh, that's cool. So, but then he said he wanted to do a photo montage, a collage art project. And I said, Ken, let's make The Magician. I'll collect all the imagery, all the symbols. So no magazine was safe from me. You know, even I go to the doctor's office and I'd kind of take a couple of those magazines, whatever. And, you know, I'd go to all these places and get magazines and take them over from my garage to his garage. And I said, Ken, we're going to make The Magician now. And he said, fine. And I'd give him all the stuff to work with. And a few days later, we had our first card, you know, but that's the story. Like, God, I wanted so much to make my own deck. I had no clue how it was going to happen, what kind of art, nothing. I'm a big fan of precrastination, you know, do it before you're ready. I mean, we weren't ready. I mean, Ken wasn't ready. Hell, I wasn't even ready. But I have a pretty good left brain organized mind, and I knew how to create a deck. And then we went crazy right brain with all the imagery. And then he was the fool child in another tarot deck with Voyager. He was the 0 card. He had no idea. Perfect. And my card was the Emperor, 4. You know, so I had all the ideas and all the structure. I was boring. But if you could put the Fool and the Emperor together, you've got genius. And ask yourself that, because if you can synergize and ally that left-right brain, that inner emperor who hates the fool child. I mean, they're not really friendly. And the child thinks the emperor's a, the old man, the dad, whatever. But if you can, within yourself, say, can I be the fool child in Voyager? I call him child, and the emperor. Wow, you have a winning synergy combination. You will be successful. You have to be. So I like the idea of procrastinating. Just jump in. So what the hell? I just jumped in with Ken. He knew nothing. And 4 years later, we had Voyager. Now, if I had known that the Voyager deck was going to take 4 years to make, the originals are about this big, collage art, and I write the books and all that kind of stuff, 4 years, I never would have started. Never, ever would have started if I knew it was going to take 4 years. Forget it. But the fool jumps in. Like, I don't know, procrastinate. Just jump. Get going. And I can't tell you, because I work a lot in Japan, talk about orderly brains and left brain people and very cool. I mean, like, and I come along and I do what they call wabi-sabi. Wabi-sabi, which is to engage the imperfect. I love the mistakes and go for the chaos. That's where the creativity is. But so many of us are stuck in this box, like the emperor box, really, and I'm a big fan of just get going. And then in the doing, you figure it out, because people sit around and think too much. Boring, just do it. In the doing, you get it. And that's kind of how Voyager happened.
Wow. I love it. I was going to ask you about, how the Voyager came to be and how that collaboration came about. And I've heard variations of this story through some of your
from who?
From the lion's mouth, if you will, from you, sir. I have heard variations of this. But so the Magician was the first card. That was the very first one.
Right.
How appropriate, right? You started with number 1.
Well, people should say we should have started with the 0 card, the Fool. And I like old cards. I mean, I like old tarot, okay. And the Fool's a really nice image of a guy ready to walk off a cliff, and it's a dog is yapping. It's very sweet. And I said, that's sweet and that's nice. So what? Jump. And so my sense of tarot is more emotional. And let's come on, let's do it here. And so it's the fool child. And I'm a big fan of our inner kid. And I mean, you look at the old decks of pages and princes and like, oh my God. I mean, they're nice. They're fine. Actually, that guy, Prince Harry, the redheaded dude from England, UK, he lives right over here.
Oh, really?
One of these days, I'm going to catch that guy on the road, and I'm going to make up some BS story. And stop them. And, and I don't know what the hell I'm going to say, but I'm going to say, I don't know. What should I say? Well, I'll pick a card and figure it out,
That's a good way of deciding. Just let the card choose for you.
Well, yeah, because a lot of times we don't know. And I'm following the Harvard Business School strategy. I brought that into the reading technique. I'm a nerd, right? I mean, I love academics. And I love studies, and I love Harvard Business Review and all this crap. And they're looking at the future and predicting the future, and they're saying, nobody can do this. It's too whacked. We've got pandemic, whatever. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So do this kind of strategic foresight reading or way of thinking. It's perfect for tarot. This is a perfect wabi-sabi way of reading the cards with put out 6 different scenarios. If a person wants to know the future, good luck. I call it prediction fiction, but that's okay. Well, we're going to look at the future possible scenarios. And one of the ways that Harvard loves ways of thinking is symbolic and synchronistic and right brain. Tarot. It's all tarot, And so I just think that this is an extraordinary, we all have an incredible tool in our hands, you guys, because nobody else can figure it out logically what's going to happen. Now is our time. And Frank, we want you to be a big ass success. What do you think?
Success is a state of mind. And if that's the case, then I feel very successful. Then I am a success, James.
Oh, I just picked a card for you.
All right. What do you, okay, I can't wait.
I picked it from my nature deck, how to sustain yourself, be resilient, renewable, blah, blah, blah. You know, and I got the star.
Love it.
I got the stars. So here you are looking up at the stars to live with inspiration and be the light that you are. Dude, it's your time to come out. It's rich right now. And by the way, if you can't do something new and be authentic in your life now, forget it. It's never going to happen.
Wow.
Now is a liminal time in our life. We are at the threshold. And if you're still holding on to the old, you're going to be irrelevant very, very soon. Jump, procrastinate now, be the fool, I say.
You know, I love it, love it. You know, you touched upon something that I think could be very helpful to some of the people in this group, James, and that is,
what's that?
When people are new to tarot, a lot of folks can't help but approach the cards in kind of an analytical way. Now, as a guy who has a lot of firm left brain type of thinking behind him, because I'm the same way, what kind of advice would you provide for somebody to make the switch from analyzing the cards with the left brain to accessing intuition with the right brain, where it just, boom, it just hits you and you know the deeper truth? What advice would you give for somebody who's new and they tend to analyze the cards a little bit too much and they're up here?
Well, okay, throw away the book. I mean, I write the books, and for me to say, get rid of that piece of me and my logic, which is true. I mean, every deck is done by some guy or woman, and it's all a projection of them. The first thing you should know when you buy a deck is who the hell made this deck. I mean, like, come on. There's nothing objective here. It's all coming from somebody's own projection, their personality and their time that are there. So a lot of us, like you say, are very left brain. I just say, well, number one, you're picking a card intuitively. That's for openers, and you're trusting it. You throw away the book and you look, and I'm a big fan of humming. You put your finger on the card, and you just go around the card with your finger until, boom, your hum picks up or whatever. The power of sounding, sound it out, until one of the images, and Voyager is so cool for intuition because it's rich. It's insanely rich with symbols. Find a picture symbol in there and just say, without the book, what does this tell me here now? And trust that. So I think that's a really good elementary fundamental way to begin. Do it, getting into your intuition, which is the secret to success. Oh, by far. I mean, oh my God. I talked to Steve Ballmer once, who was the CEO of Microsoft, after, what's his name? Gates. And Steve said, we lost it. We blew it at Microsoft. We were too logical. We didn't feel or see the possible future. We were just going A, B, C, D. And all of a sudden, Apple takes over, whatever, Google takes over. Poor little Microsoft, big Microsoft is like, nah, because they were just caught in the old. So intuition is the key to secret, and tarot is a great way to develop it.
Wow. Well, it seems to me like with technology nowadays and computers, we are getting to the point where the left brain thinking is literally becoming obsolete, because there's nothing the left brain can do that computers can't do better. But the right brain intuition is something that computers simply do not have. So if human beings want to be successful nowadays, it is tapping into that right brain. It's not being robots anymore. We need to discover our humanity through our intuition. Something
Right.
to that effect, wouldn't you say?
Totally. But the robots are, I went to my publisher in Tokyo, okay, and who did my intuition book, Intuition at Work, into Japanese, okay? And I'm sitting in the publishing office, and here comes a little dog, a robot dog, of course. This little dog, it was beyond cute. I mean, I'm sitting here petting the damn thing. And of course it's plastic. And when I pet it, it wags its tail and, all that kind of crap. I mean, this is, look, we all know this is the future. AI is taking over. We have to learn how to be with our own human, intuitive, original creativity and not fall into the box, the robotic box, who can now write articles. Robot is going to be writing everything even. So, I mean, I think for all of us, it's a really interesting, deep, scary question to get into, frankly. I really do. Yeah.
Well, as we get ready to, I do have a few more questions for you, but I want to give everybody the heads up that the spread we're going to do is going to be from different stacks of our Voyager deck. So if you have a Voyager deck with you, here's a chance for you to pick it up and start removing your major arcana from them. Those are the...
Yeah, but you could use any deck for this, Frank.
You can, exactly. Yeah. So if you have your Voyager deck or any other deck, start pulling out the major arcana, which are the ones with the Roman numerals at the top, the biggies, the trump cards, if you will.
The trump cards.
And while we're at, let's not even go there, oh my goodness. And then also pull out the family cards, which are the man, the woman, the sage, and the child. So each of those should have its own stack. The major arcana, the family cards, and the minor arcana. And speaking of...
but what about the challenge cards, the so-called negatives?
I'll get to that one. I'll get to that one next. That's enough. That's enough work for everybody for right now. But I wanted to talk to you about this family thing because I just love this aspect. When you came onto this call, I was talking about that. There's the kings, the queens, the princes, and all that. But you brought in a sage. You brought in a child into your court cards, your family cards. What inspired that idea? Because I've never seen that in any other tarot deck before or since the Voyager Tarot.
That blows my mind. It is. I wanted to get the tarot out of Europe. I wanted to get tarot out of white European medieval times because that's not the world. So, and I knew politically, that's the royal family cards. Most countries do not have royal family. They don't have kings and queens. That's old. That's obsolete. It's crazy. Why think that way? So I knew I was, chopping off their heads. I knew I didn't want court cards, family cards. I knew that, but I didn't know. I had no idea. And I thought, well, I want 4 for each suit, fire, air, water, and earth for that, or maybe north, south, east, and west, or whatever. I thought of 4 for everything. Which is a really cool.
Like an emperor would, like a true emperor would, James.
Yeah, exactly. And now I'm getting emperor-like. Yeah, but how did I come up with the family? Because the family cards represent our own inner family, our inner family. So the sage is the grandmother, grandfather within us, the old soul that we are, and we're all getting old. Although I can't stand that word. But, we're all sages here. We're not 18. We're not millennial. We're perennial. We are perennial, and we have sagacity and wisdom. So I didn't know that when I got rid of the off with their heads, when I got the revolutionary that I am, when I got rid of that and those cards. So I went for a long drive. Intuition kicks in strange places. A lot of people get it in the shower. Negative ions in shower and da-da-da. And some people do it on a walk or whatever. I did it on a long drive in California. It was a really long drive. And all of a sudden, bingo, it came to me. Aha, the human family. Mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, and kid, the inner child. 4. It was like a no-brainer. So once I saw that, and what's interesting, I think, about the Voyager family cards is they're real human beings. Whereas the archetypes are all sculpture pieces. Archetypes are archetypes. They're types. So if you look at the Voyager archetypes, the major cards, the central figure is always a sculpture piece from somewhere in the world. It's not, whereas the family cards are the human embodiment of those archetypes. And that's why it's all people. So I think it's a wonderful you called me a clever person for coming up with that. Yeah, I think it was beyond clever. I think it's necessary, imperative. If you're going to use a tarot, I mean, I know you guys probably use old decks, and I'm not the right person. That's why nobody in the tarot world likes me, Frank. Oh, you know, everybody thinks I'm way too revolutionary, way too different. You know, there's this incredible book that just came out by Toshin. Toshin, it's a 500-page coffee table art book on the tarot. It's just called Tarot. It's a beautiful book. And it's all images and stuff like that, but it's talking about the evolution of tarot. Voyager's not even mentioned. My name is not mentioned. I'm not even in the bibliography. And I'm going, this is insane, you know? And they showed 3 of the Voyager cards, and that was nice, and I gave them permission for that. But I don't get it. I don't understand what the hell is going on here. Because when Voyager came out in 1985, I mean, it came out with, there was a big revolutionary year that year, and Voyager is right there. But Toshin is European, and they don't like the fact that I went outside of the Eurocentric, way of thinking. And all of a sudden, I got Africans in there, and I got Asians in there. Oh my God, I got all these different kinds of people. They don't like that. They don't like that. And oh well. That's the way it goes.
Well, that's their problem. I mean, that is what I think that's what's going to make the Voyager live on. I mean, forever. I don't know who your publisher is of that deck, but it continues to sell. I noticed you're over 250,000 decks of Voyager sold. 250,000. I don't know how many decks would have that many sold worldwide.
Oh, I know.
And
it's insane.
It's because it's just so darn revolutionary and universal and contemporary. It's outside of that old-fashioned swords and sorcery thing. I mean, it's sui generis, I think they call it, James. I think it's sui generis.
What is that? Sui generic. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. One of a kind. It's genius and its uniqueness, I would say.
I think so.
Yeah. If you do say so yourself.
I do say so. So it's been out since 85, 35 years. And, when I first made that deck, I went to New York City. I lived in San Francisco, got my tie, got my suit, went to New York to get a publisher. After 4 years of making Voyager without making any money, Ken and me, we go to New York to see the publishers. They all hated it. They didn't like it. And that card is whatever card you have in your deck. In Voyager, it's called Setback. The 5 of Worlds. Serious setback. It goes to all the 5s. Now I'm disappointed, the 5 of Cups, and I'm really pissed off. The 5 of Crystals, negative, and the 5 of Wands, oppressed, and all the 5s kick in because this is a big, but for every setback, 1 step back, 2 steps ahead. So that's the most important key. I love the negative cards in the tarot because when you get one of those, we all have that stuff in our life. Those are the opportunity cards. They are by far the best opportunity cards. So I came back to San Francisco, kept showing Voyager in big slideshows, which are awesome in slideshows. And some woman called me the next day after a slideshow, and she said, I dreamed about your cards all night long. And I said, oh, that's nice. And she said, and I have a lot of money. And I said, who are you? What's your name? And she said, I have a lot of money. I want to give it to you and get Voyager printed and off and running. And so that's my story about every setback, negative situation is your biggest opportunity. And that's what a lot of us are in these days. This is an incredible opportunity time.
That's a perfect opportunity for me to give everybody in the group one final instruction. You should have a stack of minor arcana cards, the aces through 10s of the 4 suits. One last separation that you're going to do is to remove the negative cards from the other cards. So if you're using a Voyager deck, you'll notice that there are keywords on the very top. So you'll know the negative cards because they have negative associations or negative keywords at the top of them. There are 12 total. Yep. And if you're working with a deck that's not the Voyager, just look through the minor arcana at the scary cards or the negative looking cards and take those out because in the exercise we're about to do, those are going to have a special function because, like James says, there's a special opportunity with the negative cards. I mean, James, I've had people who said that they would use tarot, except they're so afraid of getting scary cards. They are so
Yeah.
afraid. They dread it. And it scares them so much that they don't use tarot because they do not want to get scary cards. What do you tell those people? Because
Okay.
how
I
do
tell
you
them,
get over it? How do they get over it?
well, the first thing I tell them is that a card is a piece of paper. It's a piece of paper. Dude, are you going to let a piece of paper ruin your life? Cards give us information. It's what we do with the information. We make the future. A piece of paper does not make the future. Wake up. But it's incredible information. And then we decide how to use that information that's there. So, I mean, yeah, I know. I don't know. I just have a hard time when people freak out over the negative cards. I mean, by the way, Voyager has 12 of them. Every classic tarot deck has 12. Most people don't like the word negative. Challenge cards, problematic cards, obstacle cards. In a way, they're opportunity cards. Mm-hmm. That's my way of really viewing them. And for me, a lot of times when I do readings, and I've done thousands of readings in my life, 40 years worth, many times the most enlightened people pick the most negative cards because they're willing to look at their stuff. They're willing to look at their garbage and compost it and fertilize it out of it and grow from it here. So don't be upset with that. Be proud. Like, yes, I got this negative crap card and I'm going to learn from this and compost it and grow from it. Absolutely. Hey.
Beautifully said. Now, having said that, you know, as we're about to do this spread, hopefully I get all negative cards or challenge cards or opportunity cards or obstacle cards. But actually what I'm going to share.
No, you don't want to, you want to go blank. When you pick cards, you want the right card. You don't want good cards. You don't want bad cards. You just want the truth. The priestess, I'm wearing the priestess shirt here. The priestess is all about the truth. So with that open mind, let it happen.
Well, you've got the priestess on the shirt. You've got the empress behind you. So you've got the truth and you've got life behind you, right? Wouldn't you say that the empress is all about life and abundance and fertility and all that good stuff like that?
She's the mother. She's the woman. Come on.
Right.
Women are the future now. The best, I go on a lot of marches. Let's face it. I was in New York City during Vietnam when I was at Columbia. And I went on all the anti-Vietnam. I mean, the last thing I'm going to go do is die in Vietnam. Maybe some of you guys are veterans and I don't have any problem with that, but not me. So I come from that. So I go on all these marches today, whether it's Black Lives Matter or whatever. But by far the best marches are the women's marches. The pink is so cool. So I'm a big lover of the feminine energy, the goddess energy. And I think the tarot is really, really coming from that in a way, although it's very male constructed. It's patriarchal. Old tarot is patriarchal, and that sucks. And that's something to really watch out for.
But, you know, your family doesn't have a man at the head of the ranking. You've got a sage, which you say is both grandmother and grandfather, both.
Right.
So at the top, it's not a man. It's an integration of both.
Absolutely. And that is the future now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the future now. Yeah.
Now, I know that you have a training that you're getting ready to go to in Japan. You're welcome to stick around if you want to, because I was going to do this reading with everybody. But I understand that, you know, you've got time constraints. So feel free, you know, you can either go now or hang out for a little bit longer. It's totally up to you, James.
Well, yeah, I do have to, I mean, in about 20 minutes, I'm supposed to be on a Zoom call for 3 hours.
Wow.
A class to Japan. And 3 hours is a kind of a beatdown.
Yeah.
You know, from 6 to 9 here, basically, California time. Mm-hmm. But I think the first position, I want to focus on the very first thing in the hero's journey reading. I mean, do they have this kind of a thing, right?
I'm sharing it right now.
Oh, cool.
Let me,
Frank is really good at this stuff.
is that coming through?
Yeah,
Are people seeing
yeah,
that? All right.
yeah,
So James, I
yeah.
kind of reprinted it up here,
Beautiful,
but there it
beautiful,
is.
beautiful.
It's exactly the same thing. I use as my watermark the back of your Voyager card, by the way. That's the watermark on that form. For people who don't know, what is on the back of your deck, by the way? What image did you use there?
This, thanks, Frank, for, this is the Earth Code. The Earth Code. And people go, what the hell is that? And look at, and I say, it's this. And they say, what's that? That's a pretty mandala. Yeah, it's a mandala, but it's the human genetic chromosome that makes our DNA. It's the core of all, but it's the core of everything alive on Earth, DNA. To the human eye, this is exactly the same form for every organic thing living on Earth, from bacteria to trees to fish to us, whatever. This is the Earth Code. And I saw this on the cover of a magazine, 1979, and I said, whoa. And I saved it, the magazine. I said, if I ever make a tarot deck, this is the backside, because it shows that we are all family. We're all family. And if you look at Voyager, you're going to see lots of trees and plants and animals and all sorts of stuff from all over the universe there. It's because we are family. We are associated with it all. So yeah, you could kind of see that back there, Frank. That's cool.
Very cool. All right. So
I have a mask now that's the DNA. My mask is a DNA mask.
I've seen it. For anybody in this group who doesn't follow James on Facebook, you have to do it, and on Instagram. He's always sharing inspirational, fun, artistic, crazy, all kinds of fun stuff. Make sure to look him up on Facebook and Instagram, because it's worth it to follow James Wanless on social media. But anyway.
Well, let me just one other thing. I'm sorry I'm talking way too much. I mean, this is exciting, you folks, because Frank is a stud in the field here. And it's rare that I know a guy so articulate, so brilliant, so bright, and who likes Voyager even, so I'm excited by this. But it's funny, in Japan, when my last name Wanless is translated into English from Japanese, it's one less. James one less. And I go, God, that's weird. The other day it was one dress. One dress. And I'm thinking maybe I should change it to oneness or wholeness or oneness. But that's a funny thing to have to deal with. That's there. Yeah.
Well, I love it. So as far as this spread is concerned, and for everybody who's participating in this, what we want to do is first we want to determine what the quest is. And for this
now can I do that? Can
Please.
I just do that? And then I'll
leave,
and then I'll check out.
By all means.
The quest is the name of the game. This is the hero's journey. And the quest is the question. And that's where the question comes from. It's the quest. So this is the most important thing in this reading. And you can use this. This is a manifestation map reading. This shows you how, as a roadmap, how to create whatever your quest is. And it can be from, I want to make more money, to I want to be healthier, to what about my love life, to I want to have whatever, or become a great Voyager reader, or what, I don't care. But the whole idea is the question is by far the most important thing. So you can write this down. Some people don't even know their quest, which I find frightening. And I tell them, well, if you don't know your question, and this is actually, hey, you all, this is a tremendous creativity process. And I use this with corporations and companies because they love Voyager for creativity, for innovation. And so I have them pick their first card, which is the card to give them the question. Oh, they don't know what to ask. I said, well, pick your question card. Everybody wants answers. But hey, dude, the question is far more important. And in this case, what is your quest? And be real clear about it. Because when I do coach reading, because this is a coach reading, this is not a standard reading. This is a coach Voyager reading. And when my client, I ask them, what's your quest? And they tell me, man, I nail them. I want to be able to talk. It's called active listening. Active listening. I have to be able to talk back to them exactly what they told me, so they agree and I agree and we agree. So that is by far the most important thing, Frank. So with your group here, I would ask them, what's your question, your quest, and be really clear about that. Be tough. Like, well, I would like, no, that's not good enough. I'm sorry, go away, come back later or whatever. And a lot of people want their quest to be too big. No, that's too much. Too much. Narrow it down. The more specific the quest, the more doable it is. The more doable it is, because this is a reading about action, about taking action upon the roadmap, the cards that you pick. So that is the all most important thing going forward, is what is your quest? Wow, I love it.
Beautiful. So,
thanks.
yeah, so the quest, no, we've talked about readings before and different spreads you can use where you can just look for general knowledge. And there's nothing wrong with those kind of spreads. But what James is saying is this is not one of those. This is one where you want a specific intention. You want to know what your quest is. You want to know what it is that you're, as the hero, what is your hero's journey? What is the nature of your quest? What is it that you want? And the more specific you can be, the more drilled down to exactly what it is you want, the better the reading is going to be. The better the intuition works more, and you understand it better.
Oh, Frank, so well said. Listen, I have to check out. Frank, that was well said. Thank you so much. You guys are going to have a blast. How long do you go for here?
We usually go till 8:30. We're going to go a bit later. I mean, we're probably going to push close to 9 today, but usually it's 7
Wow.
to 8:30. But I think this is worth running a little bit longer. But thank you.
And the idea of breaking the deck down into parts is so great. Oh, I tell you, to me, it was totally logical to break a deck up into different parts that go with different questions. Like, that's a no-brainer to me. Nobody else does it. It's like, what the hell is this? I go, duh. And, you know, you get specific answers for this, particularly for this. So, Frank, you're a great mentor. You're a great leader. You're going to have a blast. So thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
Wow, thanks for being on. And if everybody can please wave your hands in appreciation for James. You are a delight, inspirational, fun. You were yourself. I mean, you were James Wanless. That's all I can say. Thank you for being on so much, James. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I love you. I love you. Bye.
Love you too, James. Bye-bye, my friend.
Yeah, bye. I gotta how do I get out of here?
All right.